He's got his ears
Call
up.
this meeting of the Board of Education for the School District of Baraboo to order for Monday, October the 24th, 2016. With roll call, Mr. Cummings.
Here.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Mr. McNevin.
Here.
Mr. Meering.
Here.
Ms. Riley.
Here.
Mr. Vedro. Here. And Bodak here. Continue with the pledge. The flag is right at the screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the last board meeting of October the 10th as printed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Cummings, seconded by Riley. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, minutes thus approved. In correspondence, included in your board packet was a certificate from the Wisconsin Association of School Boards signifying that the Baraboo School District is a 2016-17 member of that association, and also included was a copy of the Wisconsin Digital Learning Collaborative, and Baraboo was highlighted on page 11 and 12. I was not made aware of any other board member correspondence. I have no additional correspondence. Is there any additional administrative correspondence? Hearing none brings us then to public viewpoints. I was not made aware of any citizen input forms. Is there anyone here for public viewpoint tonight? Any public viewpoint? Any public viewpoint? Hearing none, let's move to the best part of our agenda every time. That's the staff, student, and community recognition. And we have with us tonight Officer Mike Pickler from the Baraboo Police Department. I'm going to turn it over to
Glenn. Glenn's gonna take
Mr.
care of this
Bilston.
stuff. So come on over here.
Mike, come on over this way.
Don't do it.
We enjoy a long-standing relationship with the Baraboo Police Department, and Chief Schaaf last year made a commitment to our schools by way of dedicating 2 SRO officers, one to the middle school and one to the high school. And we're lucky enough to have Mike working full-time here at Baraboo High School this year. And you know, it's a joy to work with somebody who absolutely loves their job. And Mike loves his job. And he lives, breathes, and eats kids. As far as being proactive, we throw that word around a lot. Mike walks and talks in every way, shape, and form like the kids do, and makes sure that he's understanding them and what their needs are. He eats at their lunch tables. He goes in during grade checks, during homerooms, and there's a homeroom that he's sort of adopted, and he's been in that classroom when they're signing up for enrichment and encouraging them in terms of their academics. In fact, he was out last week, and we missed him that much, but he was supposed to be in that homeroom for their grade check and signing up for enrichment. And it turns out that the students were really disappointed. Where's Officer Pickler today? And well, Officer Pickler happened to be kind of tuned into the fact that that might happen, so he sent a picture of himself waving through the smart board. And the students enjoy that, just to let them know that he's remembering them and that they need to make sure they're signing up for enrichment. Earlier in the school year, there was a student having some difficulty with her cell phone, and on his spare time, he hand knitted a bag using Hello Kitty fabric so that she would have a special place to put that cell phone. And it's little things like that that he's doing day in
really
and day out.
coveted by the students.
And the students really recognize. He's just so accessible and making such a positive difference in the culture and climate here at our school. We're really grateful to have him.
He really hates this, but I'm gonna make you talk about this. Would you like to, anything?
I just want to thank you for letting me have this opportunity. I truly enjoy being here. John can attest to me. Before I was appointed this position, I worked down at Abe. I find a hard time still calling it Abe. I've known it as South forever. But I found it very enjoyable. I've always enjoyed kids, working with kids. Been the youth coach in the city for 8 years for several different sports. So I enjoy working with the kids and seeing the positive impact that I can have with them. Like I said, I turn around and I have affectionately call them my lunch buddies. That my first day, I got some looks, you're really gonna eat here and sit down and eat with the kids? And I said, absolutely. And the new AP Brian was sitting there and he's like, think you'll get anybody even close to you. 5 or 6 chairs. Well, I cheated a little bit because the chief's daughter came and sat next to me. But the next day I sat at a different
Extra
spot,
walls.
and I had a group of kids that were 5 or 6 tables away. And every day it just one more closer, and now they're like, where were you? Are you okay? Because they didn't see me all last week, because I had training for the whole week. I was gone. It drove me nuts not being here, but I genuinely look forward to coming in every day. My wife's probably sick of the stories and hearing all the fun that I have here, because I do try to make it fun and make it educational for the kids. If I can work a deal out, call me Bonnie Hall, because I just try to make as many deals as I can to try to get the positive behavior, but also put it back in their court that they're responsible for it. Which we had a great outcome, and I haven't had one yet come back and not follow through on the deal that we agreed to together. So that's been fun. I said I enjoy it. I have some artwork going up in my office from one of the kids doing an art project. You're welcome to stop by. I'm sure some of these guys have keys in there. Sorry for the paperwork mess. It was a crazy day today. So, but if you do, he's getting an actual art credit, and I approached him on it, and he's doing a really neat art project on the wall for me. So just something besides the plain walls, and let everybody else feel a part of it. So I do enjoy every day that I'm here, and I have vacation I'm trying to schedule out and not miss days here. So I'm doing my best to be here every day and enjoy it.
And we really, really appreciate it, and you're having a huge impact on the culture in a really positive way in the building. It's noted, and you bring an intensity and passion to the job, which I know. And I love his eyes when he's very intense when he comes into the days. But we're really noticing the connections you're making with students, and some of those students, they don't have those connections anywhere else. So you really are making a huge difference. So thank you for your work. Appreciate it.
Before we move on to Roman numeral 5, I would ask for an agenda adjustment under personnel recommendation, of which there was nothing listed. Under A, personnel adjustments or personnel recommendations, A, Rita Mathers, resignation, Jack Young Middle School 6th grade social studies. And B, posting for a long-term sub for the Jack Young Middle School 6th grade social studies position. I'll entertain an agenda adjustment for those 2 items. Having a motion by Bedros, seconded by Riley. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Then brings us to continuous school improvement, which again is a happy event and a nice event for us to have at our board meetings. And we have with us from the UW-Baraboo Sauk County Forest Citizen Science Project, Karen Olson, Todd Pershey, and I'll let you guys introduce who else is coming along tonight, including if you've got any students.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Hello.
I'm Karen Olson, and I'm a science teacher here at the high school, and I have an awesome team with me. I have Claire Gillick and Spencer Rollinger, and Todd Hershey, and Serge Koenig, and 2 of Spencer students.
This is Evan Bodak on my left, and Spencer Path on the right.
And we are happy to tell you about the UW-Baraboo campus Arboretum Project that we're all involved in. And what this is, the rationale behind it is, we had an established partnership with Todd Pershey for a while through the Baraboo Range Preservation Association. And when I came here, I taught wildlife ecology, and he helped my kids. I brought him in to help us bird. And him and I talked a lot about what other things could we do, what other ways could we partner. We recognize the need for authentic, relevant science data collection for our students. We collect a lot of data inside our classrooms, but it's not relevant and authentic, and we need relevant and authentic learning opportunities. We also partnered with Allison Duff, who couldn't make it here tonight, but she's a parent in the Baraboo School District, and she also is a professor at UW-Madison in ecology, and she showed an interest also in how could I get involved. So we pulled her in to our project. And what we're doing is climate change, invasive species, erosion control, and bird migration data. it was all wanted and interested, we had an interest in it, and the Baraboo Range Preservation Association needed that data, and the Baraboo City needed it to be a bird city, and so we said we can help with that. We definitely, our students can help with that. It addresses 11 of the the next generation science standards, and it's local citizen science, which we believe may be the most important aspect of STEM for our students. Local citizen science, making a difference right here using what we know to be good methods. So this project takes place next to UW-Baraboo, Sauk County in the wooded area. That's why we call it the Arboretum Project, and it's ongoing student data collection and analysis in 3 different quadrants that we have outlined next to UW-Baraboo, Sauk County, and Jackyard Middle School. Allison Duff has really helped us with the protocols for this because she's in the field still, and a professor at UW-Madison, we said, you really help us make sure the protocols our kids are doing are good and we have relevant data that we can share. And so she's really helped us set up, and Todd has too, with the quadrants. There is an extension for a possible creation of an outdoor classroom in that wooded area. That's a goal of ours. We're cleaning up invasive species, and we're working on erosion control, and we're taking bird migration data. I'll let these 2 ladies talk about their class then.
So Spencer and I both teach environmental science type courses. I teach environmental science, and Mr. Rollinger teaches wildlife ecology.
Yep.
And collectively, we thought these were some ideas that we're both addressing in our classroom. So as Karen said, we focus on 11 different NGSS standards, and the 2 of us specifically focus on human activity and ecosystems. So we think working out in the Booyah Woods, again, gives us relevant data for the management of resources right here in Baraboo. Also collecting data about biodiversity, and then evaluating as well as designing solutions for some of these problems that human impact cause on our natural systems.
So some of the activities that we've done is actual baseline data collection through quadrant sampling that Allison Duff was so instrumental in helping us set up. So the students are learning how ecologists and environmentalists actually collect the data. And so their data is being relevant. There's a lot of erosion going on the hillside out there. And so our students have looked at the impacts, I think, in the water in your class, and then in my class, and what that's doing to biodiversity. And so we're hoping November 4th is on the books for us to go out and do some erosion management, where the students are going to help starting to restore that ecosystem to prevent the erosion. Wildlife is working on species identification for the birds, so they're currently learning to identify the 15 bird species that we have year-round out there. And then in the spring, we collect the migration data that will be used for our bird city status, correct? Yes. So they're doing that. And invasive removal, we've got buckthorn and garlic mustard that are super prevalent out there that our students are working on eradicating from the ecosystem. And then I'll let you talk about water quality testing.
Sure. So in environmental science, we've been talking about water resources, and obviously humans have a big role to play in impact on our water resources. So Serge Koenig has come in to my class and talked about watershed management and how that applies to our surface water and our groundwater, and how if we don't manage our land well, our water, it's detrimental to our water resources as well. So Serge came with us down to the Baraboo River, and we did some water quality testing there. And I'm super excited to also have Serge come up, go up to the Booyah Woods with us and do some infiltration testing as well. And I think it's great for students to see our community members come into the classroom and also start to spark some interest about environmental careers. So they have access to both of these professionals here coming into our classrooms and saying, hey, you could work on this stuff and you could work on it right here in your hometown. So it's pretty powerful. Yeah, I think we're done with this slide, right?
Okay, yeah. So then, as of Saturday, we've officially partnered with the Wisconsin DNR through their Snapshot Wisconsin program. And that's going to be, I think, primarily to start with in ecology until we figure out exactly what kind of data we're going to get. But they've provided us with a brand new trail camera that we're going to be placing out into the woods. So hopefully within the next month, once we figure out the kinks in the system and getting everything uploaded, we will actually be able to collect data on what wildlife we actually have going on out in the woods, because a lot of times our presence disrupts what wildlife is there and they're not present for us to see at that point in time. But they'll actually get to collect the data, so they'll get to tag the pictures and identify the species, and it's being sent back to the state, and it's actually going to be used to develop their management plans, particularly their deer management plans that they're looking to redo, because they've noticed discrepancies between the citizen science data and the data that their actual ecologists have been collecting. And so they're hoping that this project that they've partnered with schools for is going to help them figure out why there are those discrepancies. So our data will be used for that. And again, this is career exploration, so we'll have guest speakers from the DNR come in. We've had their deer biologists come in and speak with students, especially about the wolf populations, as their hot topic right now in deer management. And again, it's being used for our statewide management plan, so this data is being used. And then the other fun thing that we get to do, I think this is probably one of the fun days, that actually environmental science partnered up again this year. And our ecologists and environmentalists here at the high school partner up with the second graders when they start their ecology units. And so our high school students are experts in identifying these factors in their ecosystem, and they teach the second grade students in their labs.
Show the cool picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
we
look
got-
at
Yeah.
So this was last spring down
Oh, yeah,
at
put
Debbie
the second grader.
Pond, where we partnered up with Abe, which was a lot of fun. The kids had a great time. It was a chilly morning, but they had a great time. And then this was actually, I think, three weeks ago. So we're lucky we have our professionals come with us and interact with the students, and they had a great time. They were
It was
digging for
really
insects.
It was fun to see the high school students out there with the little kids. You know, some of them dove right in, and it was kind of a surprise to see what high school students were all about it and interacting with the second graders, and yet there were still some that stood in the back like, I don't know what to do with a second grader. So
The second graders grabbed their hands and they were going.
it was cute.
So they also helped them plant their seeds for their experiments within the classroom, and we found some toads. They had a great time. And this is our high school students actually going out and collecting baseline data.
And Allison is here on the lower left. She's the one that couldn't meet with us today, or come tonight, but she's an integral part of our project for sure. And we've been really fortunate to have a lot of support to move this project forward. Last year, I got a Wisconsin Society of Science Teachers grant to increase citizen science curriculum-wide. The money was used to research and to get some expertise and also buy some equipment, not only for these, but for astronomy and geology too. We applied for a Wisconsin Schools Go Outside Fund grant to get the equipment we need to do the data collection. And the Baraboo Range Preservation Association and Todd has been instrumental in also applying for grants. We have possible UW Extension Arts and Culture Committee grant money to put an outdoor classroom up there. So we're already planning that it's gonna happen, so more to come on that. I earned a scholarship to go to the North American Association of Environmental Educators Conference this past week, and the day I went was all about sustaining citizen science projects, trying to bring them forward, keep them going. So we learned a lot of good stuff, and I picked up a lot of other citizen science projects that we can start submitting our data to, just more relevant data collection. Jim Langkamp and I on Friday are going to the Green and Healthy Schools workshop in Middleton to possibly pursue Green and Healthy Schools certification through a whole bunch of other stuff. And my past experience with that process is once you make a plan and you're starting to see it through, that's when you can get more grant money to do your projects.
Sure.
So we're working on that. And a Sauk County Arts, Humanities, and Historic Preservation grant pays Todd and Allison to help us, which has been huge. It frees them up to be able to come into our classroom almost, bi-monthly for sure, if not weekly. They've been in to help our kids. And then Spencer just got the Snapshot Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources money and Trail Cam so that we can be part of that project too. Yeah. students, wow.
So, yeah.
Yep, our next steps are, of course, are to continue all of the projects and do authentic presentation of our data. So we're hoping our students report to the board, they report to the city, they report to UW-Baraboo students. We have some experts that want to come in and just listen to their data. So we're hoping, we have to figure out the way for our authentic presentation, but we have some good ideas there. Possible extension into other courses. Our biology students do go out in the spring and do some of this, but it's incorporating in even more classes and potential to join other citizen science projects, like I said. There's schools collecting data on snake habitat. There's no reason why when we look at our quadrants, we could also talk about, do we have good snake habitat, and feed into their citizen science projects and just grow. So I think, yeah, our students want to say
Yeah.
what they think about the project.
So-
Right.
Our students wanted to share just what they've enjoyed about the project and what they're learning, so.
Well, I'm in environmental science and wildlife, and I have like first hour and second hour as well. So first hour, we went down to the river and everything. I got to put the waders on and go out in the water and turn over rocks, get all the vertebrates. I like going down there and everything, seeing all that.
I'm in 2B wildlife ecology, so I just like because it's more practical and it applies to things that are actually happening. It's not just made of data, so it makes it a little more interesting and you get involved easier. I also really enjoyed going with second graders, and they would, you know, kind of had to get going with them. They were had a little more energy than me. Yeah, I got to work with my little brother who's a second grader, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, I thought it was just interesting because you got to show them, we got to plant little green bean plants, was it with them? So that was kind of fun, teaching them how to get it a little deep enough for them, put in the right amount of soil, all that kind of stuff. So I just like how it applies to everything.
Any questions from the board?
You talked about integrating this with other courses, you know, science courses, but are we talking about doing it with social studies courses too?
Yeah, we, for example, some of our equipment we need stakes that we will mark locations so that our photographs, we're hoping we're gonna have 15 years of data or more ongoing on climate change and erosion. As long as we're here, we'll take our kids out, and so we need to have markers where exactly things are taking place. We've talked about tech ed will help us build those. The mapping is a potential for social studies. Yes, we need business ed students to help us. Yeah, we've talked all of those things.
I mean, you're right on the Ice Age Trail here. And so, I mean, it has a big impact on us economically because all the people that hike, they eventually want to get dinner and so forth. I mean, so things have impact positively on our economy here. And so, I mean, I'm looking at other things. I've got a brother who's in Ecuador right now, and a goofy guy wants to look at birds. So, I mean, this has an impact. If people go and they commit and they want to see birds, I mean, do we have rare species in there at all, or?
We looked at the local
We've got a
ones, this is
few
what
on
we're
these
tackling
ones,
now.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Doug, the one thing I wanted to tell everybody tonight is I work for this, what we call the land trust community, and you keep hearing citizen science, because every one of us is losing access to good DNR data because they're not investing in science. So here we are to sort of fill that up. So as a land trust community, and there's about 50 of us in this state, the last 3 years we've sort of backed up and said, all right, we've been protecting a lot of land, we're putting borders around it. Nobody understands what goes on in here. No one knows why we're doing this. So these partnerships, moving into the high schools, we do a lot with GUU up there, I try with the middle school. This is sort of just kind of getting that connection that we all used to kind of have. We had a little landscape knowledge. Everybody up and down the street knew some trees, knew a few birds, things like that. So we're just trying to rev it up. And I have to say, I'm really proud of these three. Students are great. Having partners come in is really fun. But there's a lot of people in the state that I know they sort of spy on our Facebook page, see what we're doing. I'll get some phone calls and emails. Hey, did that work? So we're kind of it's a big prototype. It's going great. I love the energy in it. My job review is coming up in a couple of weeks. I wish my board was here. You know, there's a lot of other people sort of being inspired by this, and it's just kind of fun that, you know, you give them some free range to try partnering a little bit out there, because I think there's more going on. And even, Doug, back to your point, the economic development of that, you know, young families look at that. They want to see what's available in that school district.
Yep.
Are they getting outside? This
Yep.
happens all over the, you know, the greater Madison area.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't it happen here? We got much cooler stuff to show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we need to protect that cooler stuff. And I mean, I think all you, everybody up there, and all the others that are included in this project, because, I mean, when we look at the next generation science standards, it pulls into so many other areas. And it's what we want our students to do. We're committed to personalized learning, and personalized learning means that we got to get out of these four walls and go out the back door and see what's going out in the real world, and that's the real world to you. And thank you for that. So.
Thank you for the partnership. It's amazing.
I would also like to commend you on the choice of the word as a symbol of citizens, of citizen science, of citizen engagement in education, of breaking down silos and integrating them as citizens, which is our primary responsibility as educators. To break down boundaries, silos, and this project really sounds exactly like what we need for future collaborative engagement, if you will, to solve the challenges that government as an entity seems to be at a standstill because of a variety of issues, mostly divisiveness about who's going to do what and how they're going to do it and who's going to pay for it, while all of you are doing the actual work. And thank you so much, certainly for our students, certainly for our communities, and certainly for the advancement of citizen engagement into all of these arenas. Thank you for providing that to all of us.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brings us then to personnel recommendations, and under item A, Rita Mathers' resignation, Jack Lane Middle School, 6th grade social studies. You received a revised resignation letter from Ms. Mathers. I just want to note to the board that the request for the waiver of the monetary amount is something we have not done in the past. So in looking for the recommendation and the motion for the acceptance of that resignation letter, I would then entertain a motion.
Move to accept without the $1,500. Just to clarify that we would not waive the $1,500.
Have any motion by McNevin? Ms. Riley with a second. Any discussion?
Only, if I understand correctly, Ms. Mathers has been a long-term teacher in our
Since 2003.
2003?
Yeah.
So we're talking, someone help me with the math.
About 13 years.
Yeah. I know that the waivers of these fees are in place mostly for newer teachers who commit, and then as individual agents may then assume or be given a different, or get a different job. And this is a way in which we in the district somehow protect ourselves. I would be in favor of making an exception, given Ms. Mathers' tenure with the school and given the situation as it was presented in her letter to the board.
I would just add for clarification, I think the concept of liquidated damages is because there's a cost
in terms of hiring and filling those positions and training. So I think that is the premise for our liquidated damages.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. Vedro. At this point, though, we have a motion and a second on the floor, so I would thus, if there's isn't any more comment or questions, ask for a vote on the motion as presented. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
No, Mr. Vedro's opposition. Brings us then to B, which is also under personnel recommendation, and that is the request to post for a long-term sub at the Jack Young Middle School 6th grade social studies position.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by McNevin, seconded by Cummings. Any discussion in regards to that? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Brings us then to new business, the request for the approval of the women's girls softball team to head to Florida for spring break.
Misty's here with some students.
Yes. And we'll let them make their personal plea.
I think we're having a board meeting at your first game.
Just saying.
Come on.
Right.
Come on.
That's right.
No, I submitted the written proposal. I don't want to waste too much of everyone's time here on something like this, but I would like to provide the board with an update. The Baraboo softball program has been actively fundraising for this trip in the hopes that the board will approve this trip. Otherwise, like Mr. Langkamp and I were talking about, we'll end up with some really nice helmets and bats. But at this point, our softball program has been able to raise 80% of our goal in sending these girls on this trip. I'm very proud to say that our softball program is asking each player to contribute at max $400 for this trip, with a path to raise that money if they're not able to afford it. So this is an opportunity for these players to take a spring trip down to Florida. And our fundraising activities that we've been doing have been somewhat out of the community. We've been doing some Badger concession stands at football games. We're committed to the basketball games as well. Some of you may have bought some of our Culver's cards. We have been selling those. Culver's has been gracious to donate 25% of the proceeds of the Culver's cards that we're selling, which we're on track to raise about $5,000 off of that fundraiser. Not to mention the fact that we also have paired up with Becca Cates downtown, a local business, and helped her out with some of her projects. In return, she'll kick some money towards our program. So it's really neat to see that we have our athletes in our local community establishing bonds with some of our local businesses. I get to see some faces to our athletes rather than everyone asking for money all the time from them. So they get to interact and give back that way. So I brought these players here. I have Lily Nakagol and Allie Amont, two of our softball players here, but they would like to talk a little bit about the appreciation that they'll have from such a trip.
Well, not only is the Florida spring training trip going to be a good experience for us to better our skills as softball players and bond together, it's the fundraising part of it is also a really good bonding experience, because it's it's nice to have another player next to you when you're dealing with rowdy football fans or something at the Badger games. And I'm a lot closer in that way too, not just from the Florida trip.
Not only do you get team bonding, but you also get responsibility too. Like, first Badger game, it's like, oh my goodness, money, people, that's exciting. And now, after working a couple of weeks, you've learned so much about your players as well as, money, and how rowdy Badger games can be too. But, you've really, I can say I'm a lot more responsible now, too.
I don't know if anyone has any questions based upon our written proposal or what we presented here today.
Well, we always have everybody come in and give us a pitch when they're going out of town, because they have to. But, and it's always an easy approval for us, but we really appreciate you guys taking the time to come in, because we love to hear the stories, and we like to make that connection, so thanks for doing it. But I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Having a motion by McNevin, seconded by Vedro. Any further discussion?
Can we have the board meeting there? Just to make sure.
We may be doing some fundraising of our own.
Just 70 hours.
I'm sure this board would be great at fundraising.
I can buy at least 1,000 Culver's cards.
A lot of Butterburgers.
We would be the slowest concession stand in history.
But we'd eat well.
We'd eat well.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Have a good time. Don't forget, it's okay to report back to us once you come back. We like that. Brings us then to B under new business, which is the approval of the receipts and disbursements as presented. For that, I will turn to Chair of Finance, Mr. McNevin.
Move to approve.
I will second.
Motion by McNevin, seconded by Cummings. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the receipts and disbursements as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Brings us then to C, the adoption of the 2016-17 district budget and certification of the 2017 school tax levy.
Move to approve.
Second.
Having a motion by McNevin, seconded by Cummings. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. I would thus entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by McNevin.
What?
Seconded by Miriam. Any discussion?
Is there a
Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Thank you for your attendance.